Bitcoin dropped big today. It went from that all-time high of 126.2 down to 122.1, and that was today. Whew, ouch. Let's see what it did to Misty and Mr. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today Bitcoin took a little bit of a dump, right? It ended up dropping about 1.8% on the day. Ouch, right? We're sitting at about 122K, and it is fluctuating around that point currently. But with that big drop, that brought Mr. down, and of course brought Misty down with it. And they got hit pretty hard, right? So let's just go ahead and jump right over and check out Misty. All right, so here we are on Misty, and we're looking at the actual chart. Now, yesterday we were just talking about how Misty was moving up on a nice little trend up, and we were showing, some good higher highs and higher lows, and we were following this little bit of a trend line, right? Well, no more than you say something like that and something big happens, right? Well, since Bitcoin fell, so did Misty. And wow, did it fall, right? We were at that $15 range and we dropped down to $13.87. So that was a $1.15 drop, and that's a 7.66% drop for the day. Whew, ouch. That hurt, right? But if Bitcoin is falling, so does Misty and Mr., right? And we'll see how much Mr. fell off of this drop as well in just a moment. Now, if I flip this right over to the adjusted chart, we can take a look at a few other things. And here we are on the adjusted chart. Okay, so you can see that line right here at the bottom of this big red candle. Notice it was also a point where we did hit over here. And that hit as low as 1386. And today we actually went as low as 1386. Coincidence? I don't think so, right? Now, that does not mean that it cannot continue to move down, but it's very funny how it came down and it hit that line right there and it just stopped, right? It did not get past that line. So I'm hoping that that support line can hold for Misty and we can start moving back up a little bit, or at least cool off and then start moving back up. Yes, that is a big red candle. But when you have Bitcoin fall like this, you've got to understand Misty will fall with Mr. and Mr. will fall with Bitcoin. It is a domino effect, right? So if Bitcoin is going to drop like this, then we're going to see Misty drop like this as well. So it has nothing to do with the fact that it is Misty, it's a YieldMax ETF or anything like that. It is purely on the Bitcoin drop. Therefore, Misty and Mr. fell with it. So as you can see on the momentum bars here, we do still have some green, but it is definitely less than yesterday. We have a sharp turn down, which makes sense because we do have a very large red candle. Now, the red volume isn't as much as you would think you would see, but it is definitely higher than yesterday's. So now let's just go ahead and flip this right over to Mr. and check it out. And here we are on Mr. And you can see the same roughly kind of setup right here. We've got that big red candle right here. It comes down. It hit our previous support line, right? And this is the line we had drawn in the other day, as it seems to be something that is holding throughout many candles over here. So this is a pretty strong support line, right? It did eventually break it, but then came back above that support line. So I'm hoping that this support line at around this 326 is a pretty strong one, and that come tomorrow, we're just going to bounce off of this and start moving back up. And start moving Misty back up too. But of course, we know Misty moves up a little slower. So when we get hit with these big red days like this, it does seem like we take about 3 steps back and 2 steps forward, right? But always remember, there is that distribution that helps to offset that. But of course, that does not mean that if you got into MSTY, it would be profitable. You have to do your own research and decide whether or not MSTY is right for you. But I will say I'm super excited and cannot wait for the distribution in a couple of weeks for MSTY, as I'm getting very close to getting mine paid off. But here on MSTR, we came down. We did hit that same support line. Now we were up at the top up here testing this resistance line, right? But since Bitcoin fell, MSTY and MSTR both fell. So this really has nothing to do with MSTR itself, but the fact that MSTR is pretty much a Bitcoin play, as most of their company holdings is in Bitcoin. Therefore, if Bitcoin does drop, MSTR is going to drop along with it. But wow, it still hurts though, right? So you can see on MSTR, today alone, we opened at 358.88. We went as low as 328.16 and closed at 328.40. So we are taking about a $31 hit on the day. And that's an 8.7% drop on the day. And that 8.7 for MSTR compared to the drop on MSTY being 7.6% means that MSTY did not at least drop as much as MSTR. So if you want to try to find something positive in it, I guess you could say that. But outside of that, there's really nothing that anybody could do at this point with Bitcoin falling the way it was. I'm just hoping that Bitcoin can kind of cool off a little bit, but we do have that support line all the way down here to 120.3. So I don't know, we may end up coming on down and testing that, and if so, we could see MSTR and MSTY both coming on down further. But here on MSTR, same as MSTY, we're seeing that sharp turn on the MACD right here, and the momentum is decreasing on the green side. But as far as my MSTR position, I've got 22 shares at an average of 341.74. So just as of yesterday, I was up, but now of course I'm under. But I will tell you one thing I do see, and that's that RSI2 right here. Look how far it did drop. It did drop down to 18.3. Now if that drops on down below 10, and if that candle is on the bottom half of that Bollinger Band, I might be purchasing a share or two tomorrow. And speaking of the Bollinger Band, let's take a look at that. And there we are on the Bollinger Band. You can see we are breaking below the midpoint of that Bollinger Band. And with that RSI2 dropping, I might be able to get an opportunity to buy a few more shares, and that will help to average me down. But that is only, of course, if we have another red day tomorrow. I am not hoping for a red day, but I do try to make the best of it. Whenever they're going to give me a discount in a stock, I definitely like to take advantage of it. In a way, trying to spin a little positive on a very negative day, right? You try to make the best of it. And if I can average down on my position of MSTR, then that would be a way to make the best of a bad day. Now I do have a buy order out there for 2 at 295. Now I'm hoping that it does not necessarily get down to that, because that is about down here to this low part. And that would be under that Bollinger Band. But if it does, I'll be picking up 2 more shares at that point as well. And just for fun, did anybody else see AMD run up yesterday? And here we are on AMD, and this is just for fun, right? As you can see, look at this thing. Oh my goodness. We were setting at around 163 to 170 area right here, and on Monday before opening it shot up. Goodness, it shot all the way up and opened on Monday at 226.45. What a move, right? Now it did end up coming down and closed at 203.71, and then today it did try to move up again as it opened at 214, but ended up closing at 211.51 for the day. But my goodness, look at that jump. Is that not crazy? Now, I do have a few shares of AMD, as you can see right here. I've got 110 shares, and my average is about 121.19. As I've been dollar cost averaging into this one for a little while, and I do have a buy order out there for $150, but with the current price, it just does not look like that's going to happen anytime soon, and may never happen, right? But who would have known? They announced their deal with OpenAI, and it just shot up. So crazy times out there. And there's some deals, but there's some of them that you just have to get lucky, right? And in my case, I just got lucky on that one. I happened to have it, and it popped, right? There was no warning on that one. So that one was just for fun. I didn't know if you'd seen that one or not, but it was. It was just one heck of a jump. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and definitely hit the like button. It does help the channel out and is much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.